right, we are in the Mountain Valley tournament. It's a tournament they've announced for next week, and it's going to be at is it Eagle Peak with brand new pin placements. So I'm not sure where the new pins are going to be. Tommy's site doesn't have the images up for the new pin placements yet, so I guess the only way to do it is to go out and play it. So let's take a look at Eagle Peak, and then we'll have to go out and see where the new pins are. So hole number 1, and I'm using the Grizzly tournament as what the Eagle Peak holes look like. So there's really kind of 3 ways you can go with this. Hold on, I'm gonna spin my screen. My pen got moved. All right. Where I can grab my pen. There's really 3 ways. Way number 1, blows. But you will see some people blows where they're trying to get down into this area down here. By the shadow is good, and it gives you a straight up shot to the cup. That's the first way. The other way, way number 2, which is this way, people trying to get out here into this, and you got a straight up shot at it. It depends on what you have in your bag, and what balls you have, and what clubs you have. If you've got lower developed clubs, you could bring out a ball with topspin boost, and that could help you out. And if you've got better clubs, you could bring out a power 3 ball and overpower it and try and get out into this range to take this shot. Now, I will say this one thing about trying to get up here. This side right here is not good. You're so close to the trees that by the time you got some trees here, and you're so close that you want to get the apex of your flight right where the trees are at so that you can clear the top of the trees, but you're so close to the trees that you're just going through them, and they can really hamper your ability to go in there. So if you're hitting it out in this direction, you draw a line from the tee box to that, you really want to be on this side of that line. So you could be out here and still have a clean shot at it. And this green is sloped where it's like this, and the pin's in the middle, and there is a backboard that you can use to run down at it. So if you're hitting over here, the best spot's in the shadows. That gives you a straight up unimpaired shot at the cup. And if you're hitting out here, making sure you clear those trees. The other way to go out, and the way that I've been, for the first 3 or 4 tournaments that these holes were in, I hit out here, but the deal is you're in a great spot and you got a great shot, but it is tough to get it in the hole. It doesn't want to drop as often as you would think, being this close. But I had a lot more success hitting it to right here, and this gives you a sniper shot, and you could walk it up the hill and then guide it back down so that you can follow your ball guide down to the cup. And there was a really decent shot from right here. And the thing about this that I liked is you're hitting it with your quarterback or your rock. It's super easy to hit up into this area. And out here you had to bring out, it's possible you had to bring out a bigger ball, and it was a lot more effort. A lot more shit could go wrong trying to hit out here as opposed to laying it up. Now, I will say this, when you're laying a shot like this up, you need to actually get to the spot. It runs uphill. Let's zoom in on it. You can see the mound. The mound starts right here, and this is all uphill. So when you're coming in here, if you get a little short, it'll roll back down to the bottom of the hill, and it could really affect your distance. You really kind of wanted to get right here, but you take the risk if it crests that hill and got just enough speed, you'll end up in the sand. So it's not that it's an easy shot, but you got to be careful about it, and you really want to take it a few times so you know exactly how to set the shot up. We'll see which way it is out on the course. Hole number 1. I'm not going to worry. Hey, I'm not going to worry about trying to get these in. Right now, we're out taking a look at them. And since we have new pin placements, let's really take a look at them. If I can get an opponent. Wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be I suppose if you go out and practice, you know, like having the ability to actually win something. I really just don't like the fact that there's so many ways in this game that we can get out on the course and not have an opportunity to win something. Now, where is the pin? The pin is in the front. I'm thinking from over here, the pin used to be like in this area. So being moved over, we'll have to see if like hitting over here if we have a shot at it, or you can go straight forward. And they've kind of opened it up a little bit, so I don't think you'd have to hit out there as far. Yeah, you need to hit out there far. And against that headwind. There's that option. Let's see what it looks like if we just hit up here. I'm just going to lay it up out there, just so that I have an idea of what that shot will look like. Now, in the past, hitting here, I always kind of wanted to use this little crotch between the two sand traps. This area right here is like my landing spot, but it looked like since they moved the pin over to the right, I was trying to keep it a little bit to the left just to make sure that I open up this lane between the trees. I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of getting down into that area. It seems like it'd be pretty simple, but you can see how much movement's on this course out here. I remember when these holes first came out, Tommy had a recommendation of going through the trees, like you could do what my opponent did right there and hit through the trees, and it's like, you gotta be shitting me. Now you can recover from there. Let's see what we got. There's Min. There's Max. So I'm at like mid club right here. Let's see if I have a shot going right at it, or if I can still use the hill. There is still a little bit of a drift going down that hill. And it will roll down to it. So what do we have right there? I've got max backspin and a half a right hand or left hand side spin at mid club. I'm going to let my opponent recover. And get into a good spot, and let's see if they try and just get up on the green, or if they shoot it to where they were at. If you're playing out here and you have somebody who's really cool, now you can see that you can recover now. I gave you a shot. Hit it to where you wanted so you can actually see the shot that you were trying to get. That's what this is either not paying attention, or like, you know, hey, we can't win anything here. If you get an opponent that is obviously out there practicing, geez, practice. Now, it seemed like we were taking some wind off, but I'm not going to mess around with that. I'm just going to play mid-club. So it's 3.1 divided by 1.1. And we'll see what the deal is. And that was max backspin and about a half. .81 rings. .81. Oh, sure. Yeah, and as the ball comes down the hill, it's breaking to the left. So if you hit to the left, it's going to end up way to the left because it's breaking to the left. Now, if we were really practicing, we'd hit our balls back to where we were at and we'd try that shot again. This is why there's a lot of people in the community who are like, hey, we should be able to practice by ourselves. Okay. I can tell you right now that if I could practice this hole by myself, we could spend 30 or 40 minutes just on this hole, because I would literally hit it back. I'd put it off the green and then hit it back to where I was at, and I'd try that shot again. And I'd keep doing that. And if I had a buddy that was out here and me and them got matched up, we'd play this hole until we had this things down to every adjustment down to the gnat's ass. If you see somebody out there that's practicing like that and they give you a shot so that you can get out of the rough and get into the fairway, take the opportunity. That being in the rough and getting up there did nothing. That told you nothing about playing the hole. What you really want to do is take the shot from the fairway. People crack me up. People crack me up. Hole number 2. That pin placement, I don't know is going to be that bad. And actually, I will say this: if you're hitting if you're trying to drive it straight forward, that spot might actually be better if you're trying to get out here, because the old spot, I don't know what it was about the old spot. It's one of those deals. This is another one of those holes that you hit it with 0% and you miss just a little. So you add on 5 and then you miss just a little. On the other side, if you would have did 0, you'd have made it, and then you go, okay, shit, I'll go back to 0, and then you miss, and you should have did -5. And it's just one of those holes that, like, the stars have to be aligned, the clerics have to bless your clubs, and then maybe I think I've made more on that. Now, the one way I will say, the spot where I laid up coming at it with the sniper, that shot, I have had a lot of success with that shot. All right, hole number 2. Now, this hole had one of the best funnels in the game, where you could do a rough bump off of this area, but you really needed a ball that had like 3 side spin. Well, you could barely get it done with a quasar. The deal about a quasar is that you're going off in this direction, trying to get it to break over to here and trying to cover this gap with side spin. And with a 2 side spin ball, what would happen is you'd have to pinch yourself right up against the edge. And literally, this is not an area, if you take this rough bump, it's this type of rough bump is not my typical cup of tea. If you hit it great to the right, you hit the fairway and you go off on a run, because you had to put topspin in order to get over there, so now you're in the sand. And if you hit it great to the left, the deal is that from here to here where you're bleeding out, well, if you hit it great to the left, now you got to get out to here. And this distance, what'll happen is there's a good chance you'll just get caught up in the rough. Now, you could get lucky and it just bleed out, but these types of rough bumps, inherently, like, you're either going to, if you hit it great to the left, you'll get caught, and if you hit it great to the right, you're on a ride. We'll see what they, and the deal is your red line was such that if you brought out a katana, it only worked in certain winds. So we'll see what our odds are here, what our chances are. I'm going to bring a katana. That bag will work. That bag will work. That dog will hunt. Let's see if we can get one single person that's actually practicing, or is everybody out here just playing one-on-one, going for it when you don't win shit. If you see that your opponent is practicing, practice. There's no harm in it. I don't know that the rough bump, I don't think we can unless we brought out a 4 or 5 side spin ball. Now, why would you come practice with a white ball on a shot like this, where you got? I'm just mystified by people. I mean, is that the shot that you really want to take in the tournament? Is a max overpower shot, where you're trying to sink it into the cup and you really need everything to be perfect? Is that really how you're going to play this? There's Min, there's Max. I'm right at Max Club. And this shot right here is not, unless you had a 4 side spin ball or a 5 side spin ball, that might work. Like, let's swap that ball out. Let's go power and then side spin. See if I have any lower power stuff that's got more side spin. Do 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 do. I'm not gonna hit. If you hit that try for free, then you lost it. A 5 side spin ball will work. Can you get up? Man, that's narrow right there. Narrow. But that is at minimum club with a 1 power ball. So that is an option. That is one way that we could play that. If you're out there practicing and you see your opponent do that stuff, is it imperative that you make that putt? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you practice? This is just people that haven't played real golf. Hey, shit, the course marshal is not watching us and we're getting to go out and practice the holes. Shit, let's practice all day. Okay, I got my white ring off. See what kind of spin I have to put on. Look at that jump from that hill right there. Look at that jump. That is crazy shit. 3-4. I'm at minimum club, which is 1.4. I'm gonna do 3 rings. I can go back and reverse math it and figure out what that was if I have enough time to get the shot off. And I hit it great. Barely made that area. You see how much movement is on this green. But that rough bump is still there, but you'll have to use a 5 side spin ball. I give kudos to the Playdemic staff who did the thing. It's like, hey, we can put it over, we want to put it over to the right, but we want to make sure that people can still get to it with a 5 side spin ball. That's why we're a ball manufacturer. We sell balls for the certain situations, and that would be a great ball to have. The other way to go with that is to bring out your Guardian and you just stick it up there and try and backspin it in. Drinking some coffee. Hold on. There we go. All right, practice. Hole number 3. What is hole number 3? All right. In rookie, I know it seems like it, but in rookie now, even with my low level account, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be hitting from right here and driving it over, trying to get out into this area. Now, once again, you can draw a line on those trees, and you can get anywhere out here, but you do need to make sure you clear those trees. This is all spectators out here in rookie. Okay, maybe in pro and expert they use this shit out here, but we do not use this stuff out here. If you are in rookie and you hit out here, you're going to have a bunch of pissed off spectators. You're not going to be a fan favorite. I'm just telling you, I'm just warning you. I'm just the messenger, man, but you can shoot from out here and have a straight up shot at it. Now this green is again where you got the pin and everything's going downhill on the back, so it's better from out here. I'm not sure. I think we played this hole one time since we got the top spin boost balls, and it was possible, depending on which way the wind was blowing, to get a run and try and bleed yourself out here. But I'm telling you, with some of these 5 power 5 top spin boost balls, we could literally get up in this neck somewhere, and then you are definitely in the catbird seat. So I mean, it is possible to get up there if you've got better clubs and you've got a ball inventory that's got some big power top spin boost balls. You could get over here. That is a possibility. If you were setting your shot up to try and get over there, it can be set up to get over there. That is a fact. But for most of us, or most people, just getting out into this range right here is going to be fine. And this is all going downhill, so what I like to do is kind of like ride the edge here and then let it, as it's going down the course, it's breaking to the left so that you can pick up. If you try and get it like right here at the shadow where you're pinching down here at the bottom, it's very easy to end up off on this side. So like utilizing the fairway and then letting the course drift you down to the end. If you bring out a big enough ball and you get down here to the end, there is a red line change. So like if you got a 3-power ball, I think if you get like all the way to the end, you might be in your short iron. But if you're just a little bit back from that, you're going to be in minimum long iron. So it can make a difference. Where the old pin placement was is you kind of wanted to get right, and you wanted to get up here close enough so you could start on this side of the sand, because the pin was here. And if you weren't, and you didn't have enough backspin, there is a backboard that you could use, or you could start off here and then try and bring it back around. It looks like the pin is more. We'll see where the pin is. I have no idea where the pin's at. We'll see. We have nothing picked. If you've got a big topper, or if you got a big topper, if you bring out a bigger ball, you can actually hit over from this fairway into this fairway and start off over here. But if you've got lower developed stuff and you have a big topper, you can start off right here and run your topspin out, and you can get quite a ways out there. You can get to an excellent spot just by running your topspin on your big topper. What cracks me up is, people talk shit about the big topper when it first starts, and it's not very accurate. It's not very accurate if you don't hit it perfect. None of those clubs are very accurate, but it's not any less accurate than an extra mile. When you first get an extra mile, it's 3 per ring. My opponent's got an APOC 7, so it can definitely make it over, and I'm sure if they put some gist on it, they could probably do exactly what I was talking about earlier, where they get all the way over to the other side. I'm not so sure it's going to hurt them, because as soon as it hit the ground right there, it was on that slope, and it forces the ball to the left. That is an excellent spot right there. They're going to like that spot a lot. A lot. Take my number 1 bag. Let's take a Titan. Let's take the king of balls. .24. It's like 2 per ring, 2.4, and I'm going to do a ring and a quarter. Hitting it perfect. My opponent got a little bit of distance on me, but not a lot. I think they're a little bit to the right of me. They're a little bit higher. They are in their short iron, so if you get up there, you can get into short iron range. I'm going to be in my short iron as well, which is a... What account am I in? I'm in my 77 account, so I'm in my Kingfisher. And I'm hitting my Kingfisher at 1.1, 1.6, 2.2. 2.1, excuse me. Boom. Hitting the pole. What kind of sorcery? What kind of sorcery was that? There, I'm probably going to be in. Yeah. That little bit of distance that they got up there in the tip. I'm a minimum grizzly. Let's see if we can get it where it's rolling down towards the cup. It looks like it's rolling off. Maybe right there. What's my minimum grizzly? 1.4, so 3.3 divided by 1.4. 2.35 rings. Hitting it perfect. little bit more. I didn't do any just did a normal adjustment there. Needed a little teeny bit more pull on it. Or I needed to get a little bit farther in there like my opponent so that I could get in a short iron range, because with my short iron, I could have just gone straight at it and not tried to use the hill. I really don't like using the hill because then it all boils down to speed. Because you're not going to get the break that you're looking for and it roll like you want it to roll unless your speed is absolutely perfect. And so now I have to have the wind adjustment needs to be perfect. I need to hit the shot perfect, and I need my speed to be perfect. Whereas if I go straight at it, I just need to do the wind and the hit perfect. I'm really like the Topspin boost balls. You know, we do have an opportunity to get through here. Especially we had a little teeny bit of a headwind today, but if we had a little bit of tailwind, getting over to this side, or at least I think the last time we played this hole, instead of bringing out I really wasn't trying to get over here. I was just trying to get to the end where my opponent was, and I brought out a 4-power ball so that when I got to that spot, if I would have been where I was at, I might have been able to make this with my short iron, at least on tailwind days. But we do have some options, and this down here is all going to depend on what you have in your bag and what ball inventory you have. So how you play this, but this is what we're looking at down here. If you're bringing out a 3-power ball, you're probably going to be in your long iron. And the deal is that if you're setting this up for a long iron shot, you want to be in the same spot every time. You want to set that drive up so that you're in the same spot every time. You don't want to have to be taking the shot from over here, and then taking the shot from over here, and then taking the shot from here, and then you're in the rough, and then you're here, and then you're here. You want to be right here every time, every time, every time, every time. All right. Enough of that. Enough of that. Hole number 4. The par 3. This hole right here in Masters, there is a sand bump that you can do. There is a rough bump that you can do from here. You can come over to here and you can drive it up. I've never really been a fan of hitting it from over here and then trying to bring it around, partially because the pin's back far enough that it's behind the sand. So if you're hitting it from up in this area, it's typically a lot of backspin. Or you can start off way back here and then run it up to the cup. And this green, I'm not sure if this picture is going to do it justice. This part of the green right here is flat. And everything else is rolling downhill, and it is rolling way downhill back here. And so if you blew past the green, it was very easy to get caught up. So I'm going to be curious to see if they put the pin in the flat area. I will tell you that you're all happy. You're all lucky that I'm not the one that's redesigning these, because I would put it right here. I would put it so that I was right on the transition between where it's flat and where it starts going downhill. And so and as your ball is coming up to the deal, it's getting caught in this right here and it's breaking to the left. So you have to bring it in from the right and bring it around to the cup. And if you overshoot it, it's right off the green. I would be a total dick if I was the one getting to redo the, especially because and Dunner and I have talked about this many times, that we do not understand why we don't have the original pin placement in the opening round, and then in the championship round and the weekend round we have the new pin placements, and they're tougher. But we'll see where they put it. We'll just go out there and check it out. And I think in the past, if you were hitting it from way back, you could run it up. There, like I said, there is some rough bump situations over on the right-hand side way up front, but there are those rough bump situations where you do not want to have to pull over that sand. The sand is totally distorting the rings. And if you hit it anything great to the right, you're going to miss the rough entirely, and you're going for a wild-ass ride. I've usually done the bounce over on this, which is not my typical MO, because I like to take traps out of play. Like if you can hit on the other side of the sand trap's not in play. But if you hit in front of the sand trap, and did they move the pin at all? So there's a rough bump that you can do from right here. Probably have to have a Goliath. You might be able to get up there. 3-side spin ball, no, 2-side spin ball will work. You can get up into that area. But you can see this wind day, you're going to have to move over the sand, so you'll have to adjust for it. You'll want to practice that. You could hit from here, Try and bring it back down and do that. That actually doesn't look too bad where that pin's at. Or you can hit from over here, which is the kind of the old way, and try and bring it up. What I don't like about this shot is if you get your wind wrong, this second bounce right here is super close to that rough. So if you get your adjustment wrong, it could be really, really bad. I don't know if I like running it up that much on this hole. I think maybe the shot is, and I just got finished saying that I never really liked any of the stuff on the right-hand side. The right-hand side might be the way to go. Their normal pin placement's here, so it's a little bit harder on the right-hand side to get it because it's so close. And my opponent is in front with a grizzly, and what I do not like about that shot, and it'll probably work out for him fine with the wind that we have today, but if we had a headwind day, you really want to know what the wind adjustment was if you're going to be 3/4 of a ring off of the freaking rough. Now, I obviously was practicing there and looking at the shot, and they did an overpower. They didn't test out any balls. Is that the shot that you really want to take to the cup every day? Wow, I got a hole-in-one in practice because I did the thing. It's practice, people. Damn. Okay, Max Grizzly. I'm just going to do my normal Max Grizzly. What kind of spin I got on that? 5 backspin and 1 right hand or left hand side spin. What do we got? 3.3 divided by 0.9. 366. There's 366. Hitting it perfect. And the wind definitely pushed me off because I had nothing, nowhere was that fringe in my shot. So the wind pushed me off hard there. And this is once again why anybody who says elevation and has a straight face when they tell you, oh, like we can say, and it's the slip of the tongue because it's in our vernacular that, you know, like, hey, we need to do an elevation adjustment. We need to make an adjustment because that is total horseshit. Because you can see from right there when we spun around and it was looking back towards the tee box that from the tee box to here, this is uphill. So this is how it works. You are here and you hit the ball and it comes to a spot and it's flat. So the ball, I'm just going to pick an arbitrary number. The ball flew through the air for 1 second. Now let's say it's downhill. Okay, the slope goes like this and the ball travels downhill. Well, it traveled downhill and you picked up, if we were doing elevation, here's the level elevation. It, number one, it traveled through the air longer, so now it was in the air for 1.1 second. And you picked up more distance. So if you made the adjustment to get to here and then it was downhill, you're going to be farther forward. This is why we make a bigger adjustment when we're adjusting for the ball when you're downhill, because you're going to fly in the air farther and you're going to be in the air longer, but the ball is going to go long. So if it was uphill, you're coming here and then the course went like this, well, shit, you're hitting before you get to this spot, so you should have to take some wind off. This is uphill. And from what we just saw right there, I needed to add wind on, but theoretically, if the shot was uphill, you would take wind off. You would subtract wind, not add wind. That's why anytime anybody says, well, it's an elevation, that is fucking bullshit. Repeat after me. That is bullshit. It's an adjustment that Playdemic put in here, and who knows what the deal is, because we've all been on holes that are uphill and you have to add wind and you should be having to take wind off, and they're downhill a mile and you only take off 10%, and the next one's downhill by a foot and you have to do 30%. And so this is all bullshit stuff that they've done to manipulate the game. Recently, we just had one where they did the new pins, and in the past, we've done like a 15-20% adjustment. And the new pin placements, which are just on the other side of the green, hitting from the same spot, only on the other side of the green. Now we're doing a 60% adjustment or a 50% adjustment. You're telling me that to hit here is the difference between 15 and 20 is 50? That's why when we do these adjustments, it's all about what it's planned for. That's why I don't usually keep track of the adjustments from one tournament to the next, because they change. All right, I'll take my tin hat off and get off my little soapbox, but don't ever let anybody fool you about that. Now, this hole right here, I don't think it's really going to matter, because the whole deal is we didn't really, maybe now we have a shot at it. Maybe the pin's over on this side, but the whole deal is just to get down in here. And you can help yourself. Okay, first of all, you will never see me demo. It's not to say that I won't end up there, but you will never see me demo a shot from up here coming at the green, because this is up, this is A, it's A, and here's the green down here at B. It is way down the hill. It is a tough ass shot, and it's not only a tough ass shot and you got to make a really good adjustment, but you can't get to your rings because you are way downhill. You can't zoom in on them so that you can make a really accurate adjustment. I will give you another word of advice, and I'm speaking from experience here. If you end up behind these trees and you have no shot towards the green, what you want to do is aim out to here with your curl, and all you need to do is get the ball to engage that hill, and if it engages that hill, it'll roll down to the bottom and you can end up right here. And it's a makeable chip from there. So if you end up behind the trees, don't try and force it through the trees. It's only going to make this situation worse. You might get through them, but it is really just going to make the situation worse. Aim off on this side right here and apply your curl and just bring it around, and it'll roll down that hill. That hill is super steep, so if you hit the hill with any kind of movement at all, in most situations it'll roll out onto the green down on the bottom. It really just depends on which way the wind is blowing, and this is definitely club dependent, because you're going off in this direction, trying to cover this distance, but your first bounce is here, so you're trying to cover this distance from here. So you really need to make sure that your first bounce is hitting in front of the tree before the curl comes in, or what'll happen is it'll just curl right into the trees. If you're not bringing out a big enough ball, or if your clubs don't hit far enough here, you'll have to hit it straight forward, and that's okay. If you can get your speed right, what you can do is you can hit it just straight forward, and if you get your speed right in here, it'll come over the top of this hill, and then it'll just dribble down to the bottom, and you'll end up right here. We'll see how it goes. We'll go out there and play it and just see how it goes. It's going to restart. For most players, if there's a hole that we're going to bring out a bigger ball to really help us out, this is the hole. Because this is a hole we definitely want to make. And it's no freaking gimme. But we can't, if you can get down to the bottom, and even if you get down to the bottom, there's a lot of work to do. The chips here are not gimme chips. The last time we played it was, I'm not sure if they smoothed out the green or what the deal was, but the green is where it's sloping downhill like this, and so here's the cup, and you're hitting to the cup, and you allow for the wind, and you still miss off on the right hand side. And the reason is because it catches the break. You got to deal with wind, and you got to deal with slope. So we dealt with the wind, we made our wind adjustment correct, but then what happened was the ball came down, it's falling off to the right, and then it just misses off on the right hand side. So you kind of had to allow for both. And if you use a rapier where you run your top spin, this was one of those situations where it was better to get up close and play your rapier like an inbringer and get up close with a couple backspin to avoid that break. Then you just get a true run to the cup. And of course we're in practice, so we're going to get headwind, which means we'd have to do overpower. But you can see where I'm at with headwind with a 3 power ball versus getting up here with a 5-power ball. So when I start to apply some curl, that curl is going to come in on the outside of that tree. But with this headwind, that's not going to really be possible. This is almost where I need to hit it straight forward and get my speed right so that it dribbles down the green. Let me switch to a Titan. The Titan, the king of balls. Where's my bounces? Man, that is really killing it. I'm gonna time out and set it back up, but I'm gonna do the shot where I try and get my speed right and I roll down that hill. And I think the wind's gonna lay me down enough that if I hit it perfect with a max overpower, it'll dribble down to the bottom. My opponent's got their APOC out. And an APOC might work better because you get more raw distance. If you got an APOC, what is that, 5 when it gets its full distance? 4 or 5, somewhere in that neighborhood. If you do have an APOC and it has its full distance, it's not a bad deal. See if my opponent can get over. Curious to see if they clip the tree as they go through there. Right underneath of it. That's that hill I was talking about. If you hit that hill with any speed at all, you'll just roll down to the bottom. 400 yards. All right. And the wind is blowing me straight back, so I'm gonna just set up off just a little, and I'm just gonna hit it straight forward and see if I can catch the bounces right and catch that hill and see what that looks like. Oh, and I hit the tree. But you can see I hit that hill and it rolled all the way down to the bottom. So if you can catch that hill with any speed whatsoever, that is that's usually the result. I think I've been caught in that rough maybe once or twice, but typically if you have enough speed to get you to the rough, you'll roll through the rough. The last time we played it, the wind was the only thing that was a factor. The slope stuff wasn't affecting it anymore. And I may have spoke too soon because they had set up on the left-hand side. They came in on the right. They did. It was there. All right. That is the look on that. We have that hole right there. I can show you in every account that I have. I could go out there and play that until I made it and say this is how you make it on there, and it wouldn't work with your account. So you gotta play it with what clubs you have and what ball inventory you have. But it's not a bad idea. Don't think that you have to play that hole and get this kind of movement on it to get down here. Okay, you can hit it straight forward, and if you can get your bounce in here where you can hit that rough. Now I clipped the tree and it threw me off to the left. That was my bad. But if you can catch that rough, it will roll you down to the green down there. And I have been in this sand, I don't know how many times. I played this hole quite a few times, and I like this hole. We had a great opportunity on it. Hole number 6. What is? Hey. Hole number 6. I'm sitting here showing the hole and my thing's going around. All right. Now, you can, and if you're playing one-on-one, because we're not bringing out big stuff, you're just playing with a marlin. If you're playing one-on-one, you can play it over into this area right here where you're in this zone, and then you're trying to bring it around this way just to recover, just to come up and get your, this is a par 5, right? And just to get your eagle and move along little doggy. But in tournament play, we're typically trying to play out into here, and we have this shot. And you have several options on this shot. If you end up in the rough here, you can recover. If you have a Nirvana, you can get right into this area right here, and you got to get right up against that rough because your topspin is just enough, just barely enough to get you over to the other side and get you a little bit of run up. You can play from out here and start off on this side and try and bring it to the cup. You can also start over here and try and roll it down the hill and follow your ball guide down to the cup. The one that I like the best is hitting the rough and doing a rough bump from right here with your sniper. It's getting out to here, and it doesn't take as much as you think to get out into there, but you got to clear these trees. So if you're in the back part of this fairway, these trees are going to be in the way. That's why if you're playing one-on-one and you come out here and you really push the issue and you end up right here, that you could still do the bounce over and get over with your sniper or your Viper. But it might be a little bit easier to hit from over here in one-on-one and then just bring it around if you got a Marlin. I can't remember how much topspin to put on to get over to the spot over there. And it's not max, it's like 2 or 3. If you have a maxed out extra mile. And it should be 2 or 3 if you don't have a maxed out extra mile, but you have full distance in your extra mile. If you got less distance in your extra mile, a lower developed extra mile, you'll have to put more topspin on it to make up for the lack of distance. And I'm pretty sure it's a max overpower shot to get over there. We'll see. We'll see if I can get the drive right. If I don't get the drive right, I'm going to chip to where I would get the drive right. And we'll go from there. And that ball isn't necessarily going to hurt you on the drive. You might be able to take this with a Katana, but I think I'm using a Titan. I think that's why I was only doing. Part of it is if you use a Titan, I'm not sure if I'll have to do overpower. I'll have to remember. Eagle Peak is when the Golf Clash Notebook app came out, the first tournament I tried it out on was this Eagle Peak course. And I didn't do so well in that tournament. I didn't do bad, but I didn't do very well. I didn't win. And there was a lot of holes that I just barely missed, and I was like, man, and I was doing the math both ways. I was doing the hand math and I was using the app, and it's like, man, if I would have just did that by hand, I would have been closer. Let's see. If I do max topspin, I can get over, but I think that's too. I think the deal is to do an overpower shot and not use as much topspin. That's 3. Let's do 4 topspin. .8. I'm going to do 2 rings. Let's get lined up with the wind. Oh, that was 7,000 rings. Great to the right. I left myself tons of room there. I wouldn't have gotten away with that if I had a lower developed club, because like the rings are like way off. But my opponent is able to get to the spot with their sniper with a Quasar. So that is beautiful. You can only use the lower power ball. It might hurt you if you got stuck in the rough there. And I am 100% sure that we are taking some wind off on this. Which once again, it goes back to, that is downhill no matter what. If all things being even, we would have to add a little bit on. But for some reason, if I remember correctly, we take like 10% off. So it's 0.9 times whatever the wind is, divided by wherever the hell I'm at in my club. Oh, I'm in Grizzly. Yeah, I would definitely want to bring out a smaller ball so that I could, or I'd want to bring out a Goliath because my Grizzly doesn't have enough topspin to get me there. .3 divided by 1.2. 2.47 rings, 2.5 rings. Did I leave myself enough room? Barely. Ah, and I caught it great to the right. I'm thinking either bring out a Goliath on that or use a Katana. And I will say that I hit that grate to the right and I got a lot closer. The grate to the right actually got me closer to the cup than where I'd normally like to be. Like normally I would be, we'll go look at it. Good game. Mr. Replay. Let's go look at that. I got a lot farther down here than I normally get. Like normally I'm just like up on the top. And my red line was right here at the break, like right in this area. So if I would have been back that distance, that would have pushed my sniper back along the edge. And if I were to brought a Katana, I would have been right at the minimum sniper to take that shot. Yeah, Katana. And I'm thinking the drive, if you've got an upper developed club, you can probably just stretch your topspin out and you might not have to do any overpower at all. Or you can set up like 4 topspin and overpower it. You got a pretty wide fairway here, so if you set yourself up so you're going right down the middle, you could be quite a bit off on your drive shot if you didn't catch it perfect and still end up in the fairway. I'm thinking maybe Katana on that. Maybe. Hole number 7. Hole number 7. Alright, this hole's... Okay, you can come from over here, and this is like this. Well, it's actually like this. And the thing about hitting on these is if you hit it wrong, you can take a dive to the left. And if you hit it too high, it'll force it to the right. And trying to get bounce number 1 and then bringing it over and coming at the cup. You can use this island and try and bounce it over and run it up to the cup, or you can start off on this side right here and try and stick it up there. I will bet you that they moved the pin, like where the pin's at right now. I almost feel like they've moved the pin over to the left, but we'll see. Let's see where they've moved it to. Let's see. This is one of those par 3s that I put into you can get a hole-in-one here, and I have gotten hole-in-ones here, but I have not figured out a consistent way to get hole-in-ones here. Although I've been super, like, dialing it in and been really close, but it's a difficult hole, in my opinion. It's not one of the high percentage hole-in-one holes that are out there. But it's also a hole that's going to eat a lot of people's lunch, especially people that are going on the right-hand side. I've seen a lot of people go over there and they hit a little bit high, they don't adjust right, and they hit a little bit high on the hill, and it makes them go to the right and they end up in the sand. And they did move it. There's my max club. Let's see what kind of spin I can get. We can with a 2 side spin ball. Where's my red line? There's my max. Let's bring out a Katana. Let's try a Katana, which is already up here at the top. Let's try a Katana. Let's try that 3 side spin and see how that changes our view. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. I'm at the +4 mark with 4 backspin, 3 side spin. Max club. So I'm at max Grizzly. And this is once again one of those, are we shooting uphill or are we shooting downhill? See if my opponent is going to practice, or if they're actually going to like take the shot. Like, hey, take it, hey, take your time, bro. Take all the time you want. Like, do you really need to hit that? Let me turn my grid on. That'll help a little. Can't hurt. Look at how much movement you have on that ball and all the shit that you go up that slope and you're a little slow, it's going to break it off to the left. You're a little fast, it's going to carry farther before it starts to break. Like, there's just so many things that are involved in that shot. I had 4 and 3. I'm at max Grizzly at the +4 mark. So 2.2 divided by 0.9. If I did a straight up adjustment, it'd be 244. I'm going to do 2.5. There's 2.5. Hitting it perfect. Now that's straight up, and I'm pretty sure I needed to do more, but yep, I needed to do a little bit more, like maybe a +10, +15%. Four backspin, 3 side spin. I was at the +4 mark. I could have pushed it up just a little, and maybe if the pin was like this, I was coming in a little bit low on the cup. If I would have pushed it to the +5 mark, I would have been like right at the pin. And then instead of just doing a straight up wind adjustment, like adding on like 20. I think that we got that spot is much more makeable than what it was in the past. That spot will work better. I'm not necessarily sure that it's going to change that hole and it's all of a sudden going to be the greatest hole-in-one hole in the game, but it could be. It could be. Hole number 8. Hole number 8. I think this is the... All right. It's not really going to matter down here where the pin's at. It's getting down there is the deal. And there are some options here. I'm going to play this with my rock. Now, you can play this, it doesn't have to be a maxed out rock to get the curl to get over here. And what you can do is you can bring out your big topper and do kind of the same shot with the big topper. I'd have to go back and watch. You could go back, this is the Grizzly tournament. You could probably go back and look at the Grizzly tournament and see how I played hole number 8. I like to pull my shot back. I'm using a 3 power ball, 3 side spin ball, and I'll pull my shot back. I was like 3 rings of separation off of this transitional surface, and I was like pulling back to the +1 or +2 mark and trying to bring it around this tree and just come down in the area. And if you put too much topspin on it, you'll go for a wild ride. This is another hole that you're going to have to figure out how to do it with the clubs that you have in your bag. Now, there is a shot, and I'm not a super fan of this shot, but there is a shot where you can go through the trees. There is a gap where you can try and get yourself through the trees, and if you can get on the other side here, it can dribble down and it's super easy to get caught up in this shit. I've always had more success trying to bring it around the trees, and I'm not sure you can get it done with an extra mile. You're going to have to use like an APOC, a rock, a QB, a big Tapa, something that's got some curl to it. Something. Let's go out there and check it out. We'll check it out, and I think I believe there is a max hook shot that you can do on this as well. Don't quote me on that. I think even with the max curl shot, it looks like you're super close. There is a bunch of different ways that you can try and skin this cat, but none of them is necessarily easy. And the deal is that on the other side, you can have varying experiences. I've damn near made a hole-in-one here on several occasions. This would be a great hole to get a hole-in-one on. And I'm not so sure that I haven't hit a hole-in-one on this hole. Maybe I was using a rock. You're just pushing it straight forward from yourself, and you're on that. I'm almost thinking it might be one backspin. 2.6. I'm gonna wait. I'll wait. There is a lane through the trees there where you can hit. You can try and get right in front of that sand, and you can try and get it to go through this area, through that area. It's practice, dude. We're not playing for chess. We're not winning anything. You can go out here and you can play this to your heart's content, and you're not going to win anything. Now, Thor's Hammer doesn't have or they got an APOC. If they max curl that second bounce is going to, see there, you can go right through the tree. See how it's leading through? There is a way, there is a path to go through those trees. I'm not a huge ass fan of it, but there is a path. Yeah, it looked like with all the shit that you put on there that if you did get down there, it was going to go long. I almost feel like it was one backspin, maybe even two. I'm going to do just one. We're going to push it straight forward until I hit my white ring hits the deal 3.5. I'm not going to do a max curl. I'm just going to do out to my ring, hitting it perfect. Just curious to see. It almost looked like it would just dribble down there. Very nice, very easy. You could do that with a quarterback. I'm way back from the red line and I didn't use all my curl. I didn't do anything special. I pushed the ball guide straight forward from where it came until my white ring hit the transitional surface. One backspin, 3 side spin, and out to the outside of the ball against my pink. So that's probably 75-80% curl. So if you've got a quarterback, you should be able to get that same exact shot down with a quarterback, and even with a katana. This is another one of those holes that if you use, you can see where you're running your topstone, how much it's distorting it, and you're having to chase the deal, where it's better to just put on a little bit of backspin and get up close and take the shot up close, so you're not involving yourself with the slope. In the hole. There you go. There you have it. I'm just amazed that nobody wants to practice. Everybody wants to go out and they're acting like it's one-on-one and they're going to win a chest or they're going to win some shit, instead of like, hey man, you had to pay for that practice token. However you got that practice token, one way or another, you had to pay something for it. Why not take the time to actually go out and just practice? Practice, practice, practice. Why do we have to be in a big hurry? This is why I like playing with Dunner when we're on a practice round and we can get matched up. All right. This is all gonna... There is a shot. So for the longest time, I played over to this side, and it is tricky. And I've been as far down on this side as way down in here. If you're using a topspin boost ball, you can get way in the shit down in there. You have a lot of stuff to get through though between here and there. If you don't bring out a big enough ball, like if you have a 3-power ball and you've got like mid to upper stuff, and we've got any kind of tailwind, you can probably start off on the other side. I'm not sure. Can we start off on the other side, or are we bouncing over from here and then going for the deal? But this sand is like a magnet, so you got to get it through here, and you really kind of want to ride up to the tops because it'll roll you back down to the left. It's easy to get caught up in this area here, and now you're behind the trees on the shots of the cup, and it's difficult. This area over here is difficult. But the last few times we played this tournament, I played to right here. And from right there, and in one-on-one, this is kind of difficult because you can have you won't have enough to get up there, and you've got a narrow lane here at the end. This shot is, the second shot's no. This shot, if you get to the right spot, the second shot's pretty easy. And I'm not saying it'll go in, but it's at least a pretty straightforward shot. The drive's a little bit more difficult. This one here, it's very technical to get down here and be in the right spot, because you've got to get all your distance here in order to be in the right range here, depending on what ball you brought. And then this shot, you could ride up the hill and then bring it back down to the cup. But I found the right spot several times with the right spin. The deal is that you're in a different spot here. You know, you're here one time and you were here into the next, and you were here the next, and you were here the next, and you were here the next. That each one of these spots, the spin that you would put on it to get it to roll down the hill is different. And sometimes I couldn't find the spot to get it to roll down the hill, but there is a shot at it from this side. Let's see. I think that for most players, the way to go is, I don't know. Maybe let me try, we'll get out here and let me look at the shot on the left-hand side and remember like what's involved in that. I'm trying to think about what I would do with my 22 account. I don't have a lot of distance with my driver, and I don't have a lot of topspin to make up for it. And even if I brought out a topspin boost ball, my club's got 4 topspin and it only hits 224. And the topspin's going to help me a little bit. We'll see. We'll see. This is one of those ones where I really like to practice with Dunner, because he could go high and I could go low. And we could really kind of see what the deal is. So with a tailwind air, if I brought out a bigger ball, 3-power ball, I probably could get over to the other side and really get a run at it. If you have lower developed stuff, you'd just be hitting here. And this is a great opportunity for a big topper, because your big topper has all that run on it, and you're not needing the distance. You're just hitting it to right in that area. But it would be nice if we could get over to the other side. That's our one option. You could bring out a bigger ball. Where's the pin? And the pin's on that side. So if you're coming at it from the, I'm actually thinking that they just took this shot right here out of play, because I'm not sure that I can get the ball to come down there unless I use the hill to bring it back down to the cup. That if you hit over to the left, you got a straight up shot. I'm going to play to the right because my opponent's playing to the left. That way we can see both sides. They hit it perfect. Really getting the run, and you want to get up on that hill, and then it'll roll back down, and you're picking up a little bit. You're getting closer to the cup every roll that it makes. Nice straight up shot. Now a lot of players are just going to be able to get to the a little bit past the sand, so that your shot's not going to be quite as good. I'm going to go to the +1 mark, dead center in the middle of that fairway. 3 backspin, 2 side spin, 4-3. And I hit it great to the right, which took out all that curl I put in it. And I'm not going to get much more distance than that. I should have brought out a 3 side spin ball right there. I was going to switch to a Kingmaker just because I thought maybe the second shot would be better. And they got a Guardian. But you can see that's a pretty nice shot right there. If you had a sniper, man, that's a beautiful run up. And the thing about the new pin placement is it's almost on the flat. This is flat down here. The old pin placement's kind of like up in this area where the hill's involved in it. And so that would be a nice little run up shot. Nice shot. All right, where am I at? Sniper. I'm not sure if we can use that hill right there and try and guide ourselves. No, and it's not breaking at all. I was kind of hoping that we could get some break down to the cup. The old pin placement was over here, and that kind of break right there would help us, but we're not getting any. We could use that hill face in the back and try and get some movement to it. But if we're hitting over here, this side right here is not going to give us, unless we bring out a bigger side spin ball so we can try and bring that around. It's not going to do much for us. Hit it perfect. I didn't take the wind out, so it's going to push me way the hell off. I'm just curious if it'll roll around down the hill right to the old spot. It will get you close where you could make the putt from over there, but really if you want a shot at it, I think with that pin placement, unless you're bringing out a bigger side spin ball, you can't really get any more distance down in that spot, so you'd have to bring out a bigger ball in order to get closer with your sniper where you could really kind of spin around at it. But it's probably better to do what my opponent did and hit it straight out with that pin placement. There you have it. I'm glad my opponent did the high. If my opponent would have did the low, I would have did the high, but I felt like we needed to take a look at it from both sides there, and that was why. There you go. There is a look at the new pin placements for the Mountain Valley tournament. I'm not sure on some of those holes, like hole number 1. I'm not sure if it'll make that big of a difference. Although I am going to go back and try this shot out here, just because I think the pin may be on a flatter area and I might have more success. I wasn't having any success out here, and if you keep doing the same thing over and over expecting a different result, that's insanity. And I kept hitting it out here, and I was in the right spot, and I kept not making it, so I switched over here and I started making it. Thank you, Dez. My teammate Dez had this shot down. I think the new pin placement, I'm gonna look at the old way. This hole here, 5 side spin ball if we want to do that rough bump. You can still get there, otherwise bouncing it over to it. There's so much movement on this course that there might be a sticky spot out there where we can find a spot where it funnels up to it, but I'm thinking it's either the bounce over or trying to get up front and back spin it to it. Unless you want to bring out a 5 side spin ball. This hole, it's not really going to matter. This hole right here, I actually think the new spot might be a little bit better because it did open up some stuff over here that I haven't done in the past. But the wind adjustment there is definitely bigger than bigger than 10%. I did a 10% and it didn't do shit. It really pushed me off. This hole right here is really all going to be dependent on your stuff. The pin placement here doesn't really matter. The whole deal is getting over here so that you can chip on. and get up. You can get on the green, but just getting over here to the green side is a win. I mean, it gives you a serious opportunity to make this hole, because you do not want to have to make it from up top. But the pin placement here is not really that big of a deal. Hole number 6. This pin placement, I think, is not really, it's still hitting out to here, and taking the rough bump to get to it is still, I believe, the way to go. I didn't really notice that much difference on that hole, but this hole, I like that pin placement much better than the old pin placement. I think we do have a serious shot on there. This pin placement, once again, is not really going to matter. It's getting over here is what's important. Getting onto the green side is what's important. And it doesn't take that much effort. And everybody out there, if you got a quarterback, or if you got a rocker, if you got a big topper, if you got an APOC, you should be able to get over to that area. It didn't take that much work to do it. Backspin, actually. And we all know what this hole looked like. That pin placement, this shot right here is no longer in the cups for me. I'm going to have to go out here. It's better if you can start off on this side with a bigger power ball. Like with we had pure side wind today, and they were able to barely make it over the 3 power ball. If you had any kind of forward moving wind, that will help you. But if you have a headwind, you're not going to make it. So you're either going to have to bring out a bigger ball, or you're going to have to bounce it over. If you're bouncing it over, in most cases, because if we had a 3 power ball and our red line with our extra mile was right here, and we're having to pull it back from the red line in order to get into this spot, as soon as you start pulling back from the red line, now you're in your big topper range, and your big topper is going to net you more forward yards because it has 100 topspin. Most people are going to end up out in this area right here. This is going to be a popular area where, like, my opponent was way the hell down here, but most people are going to end up in this area, and you still have a great straight up shot at it from here. You just have to clear these trees so that you can see the hole without having to put a lot of spin on it in order to bring it back around to the cup. There you have it, the Mountain Valley Tournament. Thanks for watching. Everybody have a great weekend. I've got 3 accounts. I got a baby rookie, my 77 accounts playing rookie, and my odd account I've got into pro. So I've got 3 accounts that are in this weekend, and we will get on it. Hopefully everybody has a great weekend. Stay safe. Be frosty. If you're not a subscriber, hit subscribe. Hit the like button if you like the videos, if they're helping you out. And ring the bell. Be safe.